In this video we'll be looking at editing existing shapes by modifying their vertices, edges and faces. And we'll be looking at the different types of transforms we can do, such as translate, rotate and scale. So to begin, I'm just going to put down a few shapes here and we're going to extrude them. To edit the vertices, we just hold down the hotkey and left click to select the vertices we want to edit, and they will snap to the grid. And to group select, we can hold down the hotkey again and just click and drag a bounding box around the object, and all of the vertices will be selected. And if we want to deselect, we can hold down the hotkey plus the shift key, do the same, and they'll deselect. Like so. And we can do the same with edges. We can select the edge, bring it down. That's a fast way to create a ramp. And the same for the faces. We can switch to face mode. We can hold down the hotkey, select a face, drag it out, and we can resize that way. I'm just going to select the edges here and delete by pressing the delete key. And if I select all of the edges of this one here and we switch to rotate, you'll notice that the rotate tool has popped up here, and if I rotate the object, it will swing around this pivot point. And the same is true for the scale. It'll be relative to the pivot point here. If I expand all, we can change the size of it that way. And of course we can undo using the Ctrl-Z key. And because everything is relative to the pivot point, sometimes we might want to move the pivot point. And the way we do that, first I want to find the center of this rectangle. So I'm just going to draw a line across, and we know that the center point is this midpoint. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this lock icon here, and that allows me to move the pivot point wherever I want. If I hold down the shift key, that temporarily disables snap to grid. And we move it until it snaps onto the center point of the rectangle here. And I'm just going to delete those again. So we have the pivot point in the right location. If I switch to scale, first I'm going to select all the object, and now we can scale relative to the new position. And the same with rotate. Because the pivot point's in the center, if I now rotate, it rotates around that pivot point. It's also snapping to grid. So that's how the pivot point works in relation with rotate and scale. And the position of the pivot point is also important when working with circles and arcs for placing the center of the circle in certain positions. And I'll be covering that in the next video. And we'll also look at how to duplicate and copy objects, as well as saving and loading parts from file. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.